outreach and being transparent and receptive. So I want you to know that we're trying as hard as we can to listen to your concerns, to be responsive to your concerns. And that's why the folks who are here tonight, who are actually involved in the management of city departments and are not just kind of here to say nice things and not really have any consequence. So I just want you to know that we're trying to listen to you. That's what we're about tonight. And I want you to know that my cards are right here, and I can give them to you in person if you ask. They have my cell phone number, they have my email address. You can reach me anytime, and I'd be happy to either answer your question, or if I can't answer it, get it addressed. So with that said, I'll let the management team introduce themselves real quick. We're just going to say a few words about kind of how we see the lights atop Zinc apartments. For those of you who may not know, some of the residents in East Cambridge are unhappy with the way the lights have been in the past couple months. And then we'll open up to questions and conversation, and our goal here tonight is to try to find a compromise and solution that works for everybody. So thank you very much. And again, my cards, if you want to contact me, are right here, or just raise your hand. I'd be happy to give it to you, and I will get back to you as soon as you would like to come. Thank you very much.
Great. Peter, thank you for giving us some time to speak with your community this evening. I really appreciate it. My name is Rick Dickinson. I'm with Wood Partners. I'm the regional director for Wood Partners, 5 regional directors around the country. In charge of the Northeast
Speak a little
Division.
louder.
Yeah. Also in attendance, we have a couple of other guys, Jim Lambert, who's in charge of all development activities in the Boston area. Mark Terrio, who's the director of construction for Wood Partners. He's actually the guy that took out his hammer and built the darn thing, so he's got a lot of history to this project. Also, our partner on this project with Monogram Residential, Laura and Sally are with us here this evening. Laura has the day-to-day activities in managing this property, so she knows everything that's going on out there. And Sally is the regional operating vice president for Monogram. So we've got the bases covered. I'm going to try to keep it really quick at 3 minutes, so we can give you some time on the floor. Just want to give you a little historical perspective on a timeline of how we got here today. And that included initial PUD approval on June 15th of 2010 for a group called Catamount Holdings LLC before any of us were involved. In December of 2012, our LLC, which is called Monogram Residential 22 Water Street LLC, became involved, and we purchased the property and soon thereafter started construction. In December 24, in an effort to add character and distinction to our apartment buildings, some of the chiefs within the organization and partnership decided to add some character, and add lighting to 3 existing utility screens, which were on top of the 3 buildings. And before installing it, which I think is important to know, we engaged the Community Development Office in discussions, and then requested confirmation in December of 2012 from the Commissioner of the Inspectional Services Department and Community Development Office that the proposed illumination was allowed by right without any further hearings. And on May 6th, we actually received confirmation from the Inspectional Services and the Community Development that the lighting as proposed, was indeed allowed. So upon learning that we were good to go, we ordered up the lights, spent about $400,000 erecting the lights, installing the lights, only to find out soon after installation that certain folks were not pleased with the lights. And we're also made aware that there was a statement in the original application that would be no lighting of these screens, which we were at the time unaware of. When we heard that, we turned the lights on and said, we better get together with the city and figure out what we're going to do next. So the lights have remained off for quite some time. It's important to know that when we complete due diligence on the property to determine if we want to buy the property or not, we look to the planning board decision and the conditions that are enclosed in the decision to make an ultimate decision whether we should buy the property or not. And we did so in this case. In there is no specific condition regarding lighting, and because of that, and also the decision of the Commissioner of Community Development Office, we believe we are in compliance with our permit and the ordinance regulating illumination. Now, having said that, we're the type of company that doesn't like running a bulldozer through City Hall. We like to cooperate with the community. We like to cooperate with the city. And towards that end, we were directed by the city to talk to Jeff Bird with Parsons Brinkerhoff, who's been drafting the new lighting ordinance that I think is about to be issued soon. In correspondence with Jeff, he indicated one of the conditions that he's probably going to incorporate into his study is for lights to be turned off from midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning. Upon hearing this, we wanted to get your audience as well as talk to anybody else in the city that might be interested. And we're you know, we're here talking to you today and we're willing to work with you on this issue. We understand the sensitivity of the issue. Regulating the hours of lights is certainly something we'd certainly be willing to discuss. We're even thinking of doing some fun stuff like changing the color of the light to red when the Red Sox are in the playoffs, or green when the Celtics are in the playoffs, and the John Hancock building where you determine what the weather's going to be the next day by looking at the color of the lights on the tower. So enough about us. That's really where we stand. That's why we're here today, and really want to hear what your concerns are, and ask any questions you might have of both the operating staff and development and construction divisions for.
Great, thank you. Chris?
You mentioned this and I didn't quite understand what you were referring to, but it's documented somewhere that the lights, you can't have lights on the
It
building?
didn't say you can't have lights. It's not in the conditions.
Well, what does it exactly say and what document is that
In the
in?
application for permit, it says that there are no lights proposed for that. It's not in the decision document.
There are no lights
Correct.
proposed. So it wouldn't be in the decision document because there's no lights.
That is correct.
So why would they talk about lights?
Midnight to 6 to have them all. I'm sleeping, so that does nothing for me. My bedroom faces Zinc. I guess I don't understand why you even want the roof split.
Well, one of the number
It's
one
not
reasons.
particularly attractive.
Well, it draws attention to
draws
the building.
attention.
That's ultimately what we want. We
Yeah,
want to
but
fill
that's
it
not
up, and it makes the
necessarily
building somewhat iconic in the long run, from an architectural perspective. So that's why we would like the lights on.
Right, but we're in a 19th century neighborhood, which is primarily residential. When I look out my window, I see a lot of historic buildings, and then I see Zinc with the lights. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm looking from a glass factory or North Point. Perhaps when they look out, they see something very different. If I saw the Zinc building, if I were out on the highway, if I were like in Colorado or so, I think that was unique and rather attractive. But looking from 19th century, even 18th century, East Cambridge, and suddenly seeing it, it's so big, all lit up, it's just gorgeous. I don't want to insult anyone, but I don't know whose idea that is.
Veronica?
Yes, I would like to echo what Marie is saying. We have watched the building be built. We live right nearby. And Marie used to be able to see the Bunker Hill monument from her window. And now she sees this building, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when it was all finished, we were all going, oh my God, this is the worst building ever. And then they put this horrendous cooling tower on top that is several stories high, and then accented it with this purple light, which is kind of an insult. I mean, we were all saying, this is too much. I mean, it sort of is like an accent on top, and then it's circled by a purple light. I mean, it's not nice. I mean, there are buildings that have lights on them, you know, there is the, several buildings in East Cambridge that are very nice that have lights on top, but, you know, I mean,
Can I add, the
yes.
building could actually be lit up any color. We have a whole color scheme.
Oh,
So if there's-
We saw it. We saw it. 2.5 months.
We
We
even
saw
saw
it.
No, you saw, okay.
We did.
We did.
They had it going blue to pink to yellow to green. I should have taken a video of that.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm echoing too. I don't understand why you would want to light the roof. But if you have to do it, maybe you could do it facing, just facing the other way and not facing the neighborhood, so that, if you want people to be able to see it from the highway, light that side, but don't light the side that's shining.
That's something.
That is something we
that's
can
a-
do.
We're here to listen to you all. Is there any, we want them on 24/7, you want them off 24/7. Is there
We want to
any
figure out if there's something.
kind
in
of
there.
middle ground where they can come on ever?
You could take down those cooling towers, and then put them up, that would be cute, actually, if you remove those.
They're actually
Yeah.
just screening so you can't see the utilities.
That's right,
that are
right.
It just calls attention to it, really.
Heather?
Well, I've been wondering about the other things that, you know that there's, the application is 2 volumes, and the final development plan is 2 volumes. So is it your position that the permit should have simply included those 2 volumes in there? Or you wouldn't have to comply with anything that wasn't slavishly copied?
No, but it's not specifically spelled out in the conditions for approval.
Well, nor is it most of the stuff in those 2 volumes. 4 volumes when you count them, you know. And then we have the things like your illegal for rent signs. They've been up for how many months?
They're coming down on.
They actually come down. As soon as we heard your concerns, they're
As
coming
soon
down.
as you heard our concerns in January?
They took the police Cambridge facing signs down.
And they left the others.
Sorry, no, you guys have been like this to the neighborhood. Never occurred to you to come talk to anybody who's gonna have to look at those lights? I mean, it has been, the nicest thing I can say is disrespectful, how you have treated us. And we are the people who went down to the planning board, meeting after meeting, and spoke up in favor of this building. And then you spit on us. I was at every meeting, speaking up for that building, but I sure as heck wasn't speaking up for
Okay.
that.
Thanks, Heather. Tom?
At an earlier meeting, I mentioned that I sort of like the idea of some rooftop lighting, some subdued, quiet thing. And then those lights came on. And I made a joke at an earlier meeting that you could see the lights from Watertown. And it's not too much of an exaggeration. I live in a 9-story building at the corner of Binney and 3rd. From the roof of my building, I can look out and I saw what looked like giant blue spotlights shining in my face. And from what I thought was going up there, I would say that this is probably like 200 times as much as I expected and 200 times brighter than I expected. It's my personal opinion, a little lighting on a rooftop building for advertising, whatever, fine. This is monumentally way too much light backing into the neighborhood. And when I can see it from the corner of Binney and 3rd, that ought to tell you something.
And we do have the ability to dim it way down. We haven't turned them on again to test it. We don't really understand how dim it can get, but that is something that we would.
So from my building, it looks like an entire story of lighting.
Yeah, Helen?
So during the summer hours, summer months, people cannot close shades into their apartments or houses. Do any of you know people who have breast cancer? Have any of you had breast cancer? Do you know any family members or friends with breast cancer? Chemotherapy, radiation, mastectomy, lumpectomies, prostate cancer? You guys wondering or worried about that? Do you know anybody who's had prostate cancer? Those are hormonally induced cancers that are been found to be related to and made worse, and in some cases brought on by a lack of night darkness for sleep. You need night darkness for sleep. You need to have darkness in order to stay healthy. Yes, you want to make a lot of money, you want to bring people in. We want to be healthy in this neighborhood. We don't want breast cancer. My mother died of breast cancer. I'm not interested in breast cancer, and I'm not interested in having anybody here have prostate cancer. You need to care about our health. You need to care about it.
Robert?
This is a good segue, because I'm a physician, and you're absolutely right. The thing is, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that you sleep in total darkness. So if these lights are a problem for you, so are the street lights. Everybody needs to have blackout shades, because it's actually, when they put in the street lights in my place, I don't really have to spend much money on electricity at night. I can see all around. So I just put shades in so I can sleep in total darkness. If people have a problem with it, the thing is, if we didn't have the screens up there, as ugly as they are, you would be seeing, mechanical apparatus. And the screens are kind of ugly, but at night, even my girlfriend's 7-year-old kid said, gee, those are pretty lights. And I can see that being a decoration at Christmas time. It can be dimmed down. There's all kinds of ways around it. I don't think it's an all or none thing, but it is an all or none thing about health. And being in a position, you're absolutely right, you should be sleeping in total darkness. And if that light's coming in and bothering you, then other lights coming in and bothering you. You need to have blackout shades on.
But you can only put blackout shades on if you're gonna close the windows and have no ventilation. So
Well, then
your requirement is
you're
that
gonna
everybody have
problems
air
with your health.
conditioning.
You know, you're right, you're gonna have problems with your health, you're gonna have to get air conditioning.
Well, that's,
They're contributing to that.
Chris?
I worry that there's going to be 20 big buildings out at North Point when North Point's done, and you're setting a really bad precedent. Because if you have it, they're going to want it, and there'll be 20 buildings with colorful lights on top. And we won't be able to resist that because they'll be pointing at Zinc saying, well, they did it, we want to do it too.
Actually, there's a new lighting ordinance that's being contemplated by the town. So that, I don't know exactly what it says.
I'm sorry, but we're going to need to wrap this up, but I did want to ask one very clear question. The position of the city on the lights and the legality of the lights is that, in their understanding and position, that they are not legal in their current manifestation, and that maybe a little counter to the way you presented this, the city's interpretation of the special permit and permit is that you don't have a right to have them. I just want to be clear about
Right, but
the
also,
city's legal.
Zinc is appealing. They're
Yes.
before the BZA.
Right, but there's a lawsuit, I mean, there's some legal, proceedings that are arguing this point. Fair enough?
Correct, yes.
Correct, okay, so I think people should know that.
Peter, can I ask
Okay.
one question?
Yeah.
So, my question is, it's two parts. Is, do you know how bright those lights were? So, A, did you personally experience it? And B, what did Parsons Brinckerhoff tell you as to how bright they are?
I don't think Parsons really weighed in on how bright they were. I personally experienced it. I know Laura personally experienced it. I don't think that Sally personally experienced it.
No, I actually joined the company after they were turned off, so I have not personally experienced it.
So, has anyone personally experienced it?
Yes, we have.
And from where? From whereabouts?
Zinc?
Well, yeah, from the office. Yeah,
No.
no, I mean, anywhere, O'Brien Highway, I mean,
Well-
Cambridge Ave, yeah, driving up and down the streets.
There is no Cambridge Ave. I saw that someone else in Zinc.
Okay, we got to keep moving here.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering whether you were actually, if I could get her attention, she's the witness. Hello, hi, I'm talking to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, you were nearby the building. I wanted to see whether you were actually in the neighborhood, in the small scale, because the way it works, it's just the angles. So, anyways, as someone said, they saw it at Binney. I saw it at Broadway, but I was more interested in your perception from the neighborhood. But you weren't in the neighborhood, right?
Okay, so we
Okay.
really
Okay,
need to
thank
go
you.
with this.
Move
No, I don't have
on.
time
Sorry.
to talk about this.
Yeah.
Can I just say that, first of all, thank you, obviously. Having said a lot of your concerns, is there a way that we can kind of come to a middle ground? Like, if you could, think about what sort of things might make the situation better. Is it a question of timing? Is it a question of dimness? Is it a question of direction? And maybe we can kind of come to a proposal that most of the folks here couldn't be happy with, and then that would work with us as well. It's something to think about, and something that we're hoping we could come to a great, that's all.
Good way to think about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take that up. Thanks for coming
you.
by,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you want us to communicate through Michael, or you want to leave a card too? Yeah. Thank you very much.
And again, just as a reminder, my cards are right here. Please, it goes straight to me if you call. So I'm happy to be your point of contact, okay? Thank you.
Doing fairly well on time, fairly well.
Okay,
All right.
Subcommittee's going to make a few comments, and then this is going to be a little more lengthy. And let's discuss briefly the zinc roof lights, and I think the actions that are on the table are, there is I actually had a conversation with the city manager about this. In his position is that the city does not believe they have the legal right to shine the lights, that they have a high burden of proof to prove that they have the right to turn the lights back on. I don't think he'd go on record, publicly maybe saying that, but he said that to some folks. And
He
so
said they do have the
do
authority?
not. He feels that the city,
The city's right. The city was right to order them to shut them off.
right.
I said I believe that Zinc does not have the legal right to shine the lights.
Okay.
Okay. In fairness, so what they have put on the table, and then we can have a vote on this. They have offered to reduce the lumens level, the brightness level of the lights, the directions of the lights, like to the highway only, and the hours to come to some compromise. But so in fairness, that is what they put on the table, and we can discuss how we want to position ourselves. Oh boy. Mary Ann.
They never tested it, so how can they say that, like they said they had the lights on, and dim them, so they don't know if the dimness is gonna work?
Well, let's assume that they can. Let's assume that those are possible. I don't want to get hung up in that. I think there's a very high level question here, whether we want to just support the city and say, I'm sorry, but we're not in favor of turning them back on, period, or we're willing to go down the road. Yeah. So let's hear from people who are not in agreement with that. Tom?
Well, I would say, I would suggest that the city is obviously, for the first time, really thinking about this issue on a citywide scale.
Right.
I don't see why we should make any statement as far as Zinc is concerned. Let the city write this allowance, whatever this ordinance is going to be, then we can figure out how Zinc, they have to comply with it, and if they want to go above it, they have to go get a variance to do it.
No, I think there are two different issues there, Tom. There's the permissions that they have by the permit, and then there's the lighting ordinance. They're two separate things.
But didn't Chris say that the permit, they said that the permit didn't address lighting?
So the permit didn't address lighting because there was no lighting in the project.
Correct.
So what was approved was a project with no lighting.
Correct.
And I think we want a project with no lighting.
Correct.
Does anybody disagree with that? So it's pretty
Nobody
unanimous.
disagrees with that, but their legal position is that it was not put within the four corners of the special permit as a condition. Meaning, I'm
Well,
just
yeah.
telling you what the legal
So I think our position should be,
Their
nobody is
argument,
disagreeing. Okay.
the company's argument is that it's not a condition.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that means their position is we can do whatever we want. And within their zoning, they say it's lawful. So that's why they're before the BZA. I'm not saying they're right, I'm just saying this is what they're arguing. It's as simple as that.
And may I add to that, I had an informal conversation with a member of the BZA, who shall remain nameless, who said he, having done some research, shared, I think somewhat reluctantly, that kind of interpretation, that because it wasn't a condition, there was this gray area that might be a problem.
Well, that's fine. So the bottom line is for this membership, nobody is against that statement. Do we want to say that we are not in favor of turning them on, period, and that would be our letter. We are not.
Yes, that's it.
Nobody's arguing that point tonight.
Yeah, can I propose what we might say in the letter? That they came to us asking if the planning team had any suggestions as to a compromise, where there could be some lights up there, maybe limited in brightness, limited time of day, limited in direction, of a certain color. And our conclusion was that it was not possible to find a middle ground, and we would like the lights to remain off permanently.
Excellent. Is that everybody against that?
Could we also say that we're in agreement with the city? I mean,
Yes,
that
I think that's important.
Yes.
We share the city's position.
And that doesn't happen often, so we need to
Well, we support this.
But we really are
Okay,
in
yeah,
such
Mark?
agreement, so let's let that be known as a part of the letter.
James Dean, uncompromising to some degree isn't beneficial to the reputation of this organization.
I'm sorry.
Mark Rogers, 390 Cambridge Street. I like the lights. I don't feel strong enough to fight for them. But as an organization, to come off as saying, we have no stance, we're not interested in any compromise, I just don't think it's very...
Well, we don't do that on every issue.
We don't do that very often. In fact, I can't think of
They have an
example
appeal
of us
pending.
doing
It's
that.
not an issue up for negotiation in reality. They have an appeal pending.
I have to say that people that know the East Cambridge planning team know that we're very open to compromise.
Not in this case.
Almost always, but not in this case.
Well, can we say that
The city is reacting to you.
Oh.
Can we say that in case?
You're vote for restorating us.
But you're a vocal minority.
I don't think
I think there's plenty of people out there that just don't care.
Right, so that's how democracy works.
Okay, unless there's a motion to do something else with the letter, I think we had a vote and it seemed unanimous, or
We didn't have a vote.
we didn't have a vote.
We have wording from Chris, so can we vote on whether the wording from Chris that says that they, sorry.
I may have something to add.
Oh, sorry.
Consider we might have different positions and he may be representing parts of the community that doesn't attend the meeting. Could we say that we do agree with the city, we agree with there shouldn't be any light, should they be willing their appeal, we'll be willing to work with them to make some accommodation to make the neighborhood lighting successful for everybody? No. But if they win the appeal, then they're gonna be like, well, you know what, we don't care about it.
I wouldn't
If
say.
they win the appeal without us being cooperative, they're gonna be like, we don't have to go back because we don't owe them anything.
I would say
What
that
would
the
they
discussion
owe
with
us
them
if they
really
win the
shouldn't
appeal?
happen until after the ordinance is written by the city.
The ordinance
I
is
don't
one
think
thing,
it's-
Yeah, I know.
rights under the permit are a different
Well,
thing.
Right, but the ordinance should come
They're
first.
appealing now under
Right.
the existing
So that
permit,
they
Tom,
can get
so
grandparented in,
yeah, it's not,
you know?
Yeah,
Donna,
and we should say no compromise
Yeah.
until the ordinance is written, and then we see how they comply with it.
You're making it too complex.
Donna.
Donna,
In this
quickly.
broad conversations, a couple of things. One is because the city is telling them they can't, if I'm hearing it correctly, that we can't turn them on. To support the city as this organization is rather appealing. I mean, it would be tough for us to go against them after all the time we complain why we support it. So it's kind of like that aspect of it. But then the other thing is if we do this and because I just want to get the information, if they're appealing this and if they win the appeal, but what if? Because
There's nothing to negotiate then, unless the lighting ordinance prohibits them or limits them. There's nothing to negotiate. If
Well,
they
do
win,
have
they
to come
win.
back, or do they,
No.
I mean, I just want to know the what if part happens.
No,
So,
because the basis for the appeal is they're saying it's not a condition of this special permit and that because of where they are, their lighting is lawful. That's their position, because it wasn't a condition of the special permit within the four corners, although clearly it's part of the process. So if they win, it's lawful, they can do whatever they want with the lights. However, on the horizon is the lighting ordinance, the proposed lighting ordinance. It's still evolving.
Right.
So whether or not that would restrict, which they could restrict.
But they
I
couldn't
mean,
retroactively restrict. Right?
Well, not exactly, they have a phase-in for it. Some of the lighting is like phased in over 3 years, so eventually that would still be restricted. But as it is written right now.
Retroactively, they can govern
They're
your
gonna
lights?
phase in. Yeah.
Retroactively? Permissions and-
They won't call it retroactive, they have a phase-in for compliance. That's how they do it.
So that would say that after such a period of time, Zinc would have to be in compliance
Yeah,
with the
actually,
ordinance.
but
They
you
just
want
have
to wait
some
around
length of
5
time
years.
Till they get there.
Yeah. But there's no, within the proposed ordinance right now, zinc is not prohibited, rooftop lighting is not prohibited, so everyone needs to know that. But it's not a final project.
I think to Fabrizio's point, maybe we should just say if they were to win the appeal.
Jerry?
Well, I'm thinking of it in the other direction. I mean, suppose the new lighting ordinance comes up and says rooftop lights are all right as long as they're not brighter than X number of lumens or something like that. How would that affect our negotiating position on this? Would we, if it was dimly lighted and wasn't enough to keep you awake and didn't, would people object? I don't see these, so I'm completely disinterested.
It's interesting though, from the perspective of anyone on Otis Street, Gore Street, probably, I mean, you can see it, that's all you see.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, when I see them from the distance.
It's
huge.
You know, guys, we have to, it's past 9 o'clock, we have the feature issue here to discuss, so we've just got to end conversation on this and propose letters and a vote.
Whose letter going to today?
I think it would go to the city, it would go to the BZA, it would go to the city manager, it would go to all the councils.
Oh, you have to support the city.
Yeah, and it would go a copy to the developer, obviously. So, this is a majority rules membership, that's the nature of it, so we can acknowledge a minority in the wording of a letter, but the majority controls the essence of the letter. So a letter language was proposed, and I think we should vote on it, unless someone wants.
That we vote on that letter, yes.
Okay, second that. So all in favor of the letter as presented, raise their hand, please. Can you count those? Somebody count those?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18.
And some folks are not legal to vote.
Right, we can't vote.
Right, so don't count them as none. Okay.
You raise your hand if you are a regular ECPT member in voting, right? So if you're in support of the language from Chris, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is supporting.
Supporting the letter as stated.
13.
So what?
Is that correct? Your hands up.
Yeah, keep your hand up. Helen, you had your hand up.
I'm not a legal member.
No, you are a legal member. You are a legal member.
It's a number of meetings in a year.
Okay. 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17.
This is a number of meetings.
Okay, and so I was just going to add that one more line to what Chris said could say that we support a lighting ordinance that limits brightness proximity, just generally supporting an ordinance that works for neighborhoods.
I wouldn't touch the.
Okay,
That's a separate issue.
Anyway, we just voted on Chris's language, only Chris's language, no extras. We would flesh it out, of course.
You're going to do opposed.
And who
Yes.
would oppose that?
Opposed, and then other folks are not.
But
Okay.
okay.
I just want to point out that you are not supporting the city. The city was actually supporting you because I met with Tim Toomey about this subject, and he had a ton of calls. That's why the lights got turned off. They didn't just get turned off because some inspector from the city said, "Ooh, those are too bright." They got turned off because a bunch of East Cambridge residents called Tim Toomey, and that's why they got turned. The city is supporting you, and you should thank them for supporting you.
Many of those people probably never set foot in this room. They complain.
That's
Many
exactly
of the
true.
complainers.
Yeah, but we are supporting the city's position.
Right.
Right, no,
It's
it's two parts. The city supporting you, and you're supporting the city. Just two parts.